So, how about that finale, huh? Honestly, I don't know how to feel. I feel depressed, feel upset, I feel sad. But I want to talk about it, just to help my own feelings get out. And I also want to talk about some other things that we'll need to discuss. Spoilers follow this, of course. So Penny's dead. This time, quite possibly for real. Unless Pietro builds another robot and gives up his own life so she can live again. Which reminds me, we still don't know where Maria and Pietro are. As far as I know, they're just chilling on Amity watching the flood devour Solita, so good for them, I guess. I have many thoughts on her death. I knew it was coming. I knew it had to happen. I knew the death flags were being waved, and I knew that if she died here, it'd be hard for her to come back. But that doesn't make it any less painful. Penny willingly sacrificed her own life to save so many people. To save Winter. She was herself all the way until the end. And yet, it still hurts to see her go. I didn't want her to die. At least not right then. I like Penny. She's funny, she's adorable, and she provides some much-needed relief in some downing episodes sometimes. Her friendship with RWBY is really sweet, and the fact that RWBY has yet again been robbed of that hurts. It hurts me a lot. It hurts that she didn't get to say goodbye. It hurts that her becoming human was practically pointless. It hurts that Penny didn't get to experience being human long enough. It hurts. Taylor gave a fantastic performance as Penny. And while I'm sad to see her go, at least for now again, I can't thank her enough for giving this robot so much life. Vine was another one of the few casualties in this episode. Personally, I don't really know if this was earned. Sure, he was on the fence, and he did try to stop Harriet, but I don't know. None of the Aesops are fleshed out that much. The only one who is mostly Marrow, as we see his arc going from a hesitant follower to an outright defector. I mean, sure, you can probably argue in some cases that, in some ways they're fleshed out, in other ways they're not, but sure, Vine's death was genuine, but I'm not sure if it was earned. But I do give him props for it. And I liked his design, too. I liked all the designs of the Aesops. That's definitely something they have going for them. Harriet. I'm not really sure how I feel about her. I know she's angry. And I know that anger and grief can cloud your morals. But it feels too sudden here. She only shows remorse after Elm yells at her that they're saving their friend. Her. Sure, it calls back to Harriet in Volume 7, where she says that the Aesops aren't really friends, but they all certainly seem very close to each other. And yes, she's still trying to get over both Clover and Tortuga's deaths. But I don't know. But I do hope she gets better, because she's still been through a lot. I hope all of them do. I hope we get to flesh them out a bit more. I hope we get to develop them. because it sucks when characters in the show that have a lot of potential are wasted. Like, it's one thing to develop a character and then kill them off because you've fully developed them, and it's another to kill a character that wasn't really that developed to begin with. And that's not necessarily a jab at RWBY, that's just... it's just something. Cinder can die. That's all I need to say. But I'm gonna say more. I'm upset she didn't die in this finale, or in Volume 5's, or in Volume 3's. We have her backstory. We have her motives. Cinder is just Salem's pawn now at this point, and it's a big turn from this sly, seductive, yet chilling woman we knew back in the Beacon era, when we didn't know a whole lot about her. We just knew she was, a bigger threat compared to Roman. But now she just serves the subsidiary role to an even bigger, sly, seductive, yet chilling woman. Huh. She's not really needed. Emerald's already defected, or defecting. She betrayed both Neo and Watts, because she took the lamp from Neo and she had the staff burn Watts alive and then drown him just in case that wasn't enough. And Merc left halfway through the volume. Cinder has no one now but Salem. And it's all she seems to want. What I don't get is... what I don't think she gets is that Salem plans to restart Remnant, which includes Cinder. Cinder needs to die for Salem's goal to work, and I don't think she thinks she's going to die. She thinks she's possibly going to be spared when Salem has shown multiple times that no matter how loyal her followers are, she doesn't really care. They're just puppets to her. She can praise them all she wants. At the end of the day, they're dying for her regardless. Lionheart, for example, he was very, not really loyal, but he was very much willing to cooperate with her. And even despite all of that, Salem still went and killed him. And she doesn't really seem to care that Watts is dead. She doesn't really seem to care that Hazel turned on her after all that time. And pretty much the only two followers that Salem has left, one of them's Tyrion, and he's not even there. He's in Vacuo. So that'll be fun. They're all stranded in the middle of a desert, and there's a scorpion absolutely crazy dude out there. That's fun. But the only two people that Salem basically has left in the entire circle are Cinder and Tyrion. And I don't think Tyrion's making it to the end of the show. So, as far as I'm concerned, Cinder's the only one left. At least still with Salem, both physically and, I suppose, mentally, even if Tyrion is completely loyal to her. But like I said, at the end of the day, they're dying for her regardless, and she doesn't care how loyal they are. She's using them all as chess pieces. So, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, what we've gotten with Cinder is nice, and, it's nice to see that they're going to be at least developing her a little bit more. We got her backstory this volume, and that was nice. Nice to finally have a little bit of who she was and how she got this way, and you can understand it, even if you don't necessarily, you don't agree with it. You can still sympathize for her while still, obviously condoning everything she's done because, she's still done a lot of very horrible things to not just Team RWBY, but all of Remnant. And speaking of villains, well, I guess antagonists, Ironwood's turn into a well-intentioned extremist is done, honestly, pretty well. His paranoia over his kingdom is understandable, even if I don't agree with his methods. His possible death is genuine comeuppance, failed by his own pride and ego in Atlas, only to realize at the end that he is solely responsible. Salem only came in for the kill because she knew she had that opening, and Cinder knew James was paranoid enough to turn on people he considered allies. But at the end of the volume, James was running out of options, of places to run to. His arc was running out of steam. Regardless, I enjoyed Jason's performance as Ironwood, and his possible death shows that hubris, no matter how strong, cannot save you from death. It cannot save you from a final fate. It cannot save you when it is too late for you. And speaking of voice acting, I just want to also quickly back to Cinder. I want to give a props to Jessica Negri as well. She's still doing fantastic as ever. Even if Cinder's character has been up and down every now and then, she still does her lines really well. She still does the character really well. And I am excited to see... Well, I mean, I guess excited's a bit too strong. I'm interested to see what they do with her. Now, let's talk about the end credits scene. A simple shot of Crescent Rose slammed into a beach with a giant tree above, and there's shells on the beach. There's really big shells, and it's very tropical. It's kind of otherworldly in a way, which I guess is the point. And it shows that, there is something below the void. There is somewhere for them to land. So, you'd think with all that, you'd think that'd be hopeful, right? Well, no. What would have given me more hope is a shot of Team RWBY seeing each other, knowing that they're all still alive, even in this strange place, wherever it is, whether, it's in some part of Sanus, or on the other side of the world, or even just in, this little pocket dimension. I don't know how Ambrosius works. Only he knows, and we can't exactly talk to him at the moment, so. But, that's another thing entirely. But it would have been so cathartic to see that after 2 whole episodes of fear from our main characters, it would be cathartic for Blake, who legitimately thinks Yang is dead. Reminder of that. It would be cathartic for Weiss, who's now allowed to let out her emotions. She was desperately trying to hold back the whole fight. Mad props to her, because I would not last that long without breaking. Oh, hell yeah, Ice Queen, go get it. Oh, long live. And it would be cathartic for RWBY as she's reunited with her whole team again, knowing that each of them are alive. Because when RWBY fell, she didn't know that, she didn't know what was going to happen to Weiss. And she didn't know what happened to Yang, and Blake fell down with her, and she doesn't know what happens when they go into the void. So she doesn't, as far as she knows, the only person left still possibly alive is Blake, and even then, they're headed into a void. So that may not even be the case. But, well, you see, RWBY, the team on the show, loves their cliffhangers. So we gotta wait 8 months for that. Give or take. I'm not exactly pleased with that. But I've held on to the show long enough, so hey, might as well, right? I'm just saying, even like a shot of one of them in the distance would have been fine. That shot is the only hope we have that they're even alive. And yes, Ambrosius can only create, not destroy, hence why we knew they weren't dead. And obviously, they're not gonna kill the main characters this far into the show. If they're gonna really kill the main characters, they're gonna do it at the end. If like one of them dies in a self-sacrifice. They're gonna do it at the end. They're not gonna do it halfway through the show. Because that takes a lot of guts for a show to do that. And while the show has done some bold moves, it's not that gutsy at the end of the day. Whether or not that's a good or bad thing, that's up for you to decide. I'm not going to comment. We'd be here a while. Mostly because I'd just be, kind of contradicting myself over and over, saying why it's a good thing, why it's a bad thing. But I digress. Like, we know that they're not dead, but they don't know that the others are dead. And I do admit, what kind of surprised me is that Neo and John also fell down as well. I was expecting John to make it out. Or, like, Winter could have, flown back and grabbed him and then pull him through, but she had gotten into the portal, too late. She had already gotten into the portal. She couldn't quite go back out because it's a one-way trip, because they specified it's a one-way trip. And I also want to point out, speaking of Ambrosius, I like that they're taking little details that one wouldn't really notice. I like that they're taking little details and they're explicitly using them. Like, for example, the phrase one-way ticket. You wouldn't exactly, it's a normal phrase people use. One way, you don't go back. Most people don't necessarily think of that expression as, catastrophic. They just think of it as, just a regular normal phrase that people use in conversations. Not a literal deciding factor on whether or not all of you make it out. So props to the show, honestly, for doing that. And because Ambrosius runs on specifications, they said vacuo. They didn't say shade. They said a one-way ticket to vacuo. They didn't say, any of the academies. They didn't say, even, nearby shade, as close as you can get. They just said vacuo. So of course they're in the middle of a desert. Of course they're in the middle of a sandstorm. Because as much research as they did, they didn't think, they probably thought he would just send them to shade, but they never specified shade. They only said vacuo. And vacuo is, putting it mildly, pretty vague. They could be anywhere. They could be at the top, they could be at the bottom, they could be, really close, on the edge of, vacuo and Vale. They could be anywhere. I don't think Volume 3's finale had me this depressed. This show has gotten really bleak. And it's not doing well for my mental health. And judging by what I've been seeing, it's not doing well for most of the fandom. Which brings me to another thing I want to talk about. Under no circumstances, no matter how angry or upset you feel, do you go after RWBY. You do not write this show. They do. It does not matter whether you think you can do a better job. If you think so, write a fanfic about how you'd see it. I'm saying this slowly so it gets in certain people's heads. You do not write this show. They do. I'm going to repeat that one more time just for clarification. You do not write this show. And I know, saying that is awfully hypocritical of me, after I've just talked about a lot of negative parts. One would think I'd be justified in going after RWBY, right? Because, I've felt really depressed because of this episode. Not just because of, what happened in it, but because of, the whole stakes of it. One would think, I would be valid in going after them. No, I'm not. And if you do think that, you're an asshole. And if you are choosing to go after them because of that, you're still an asshole. Because, I'm sorry, attacking real living people over fictional characters that you have no say over is dumb. And I know it's the internet. I know you can hide behind a mask of anonymity. You can do whatever you want. Fine. But, at the end of the day, you are still a real person, and they are still real people. You, as a real person, are talking to other real people about fictional characters. And you are insulting the other real people over these fictional characters. You are choosing to attack them because they wrote something that you didn't agree with. And at the end of the day, why? Why would you do that? And that's a genuine question. If, if certain people are watching this video and they've done that, I want to ask you, and I want you to ask yourselves, why? Why have you gone after these people? Because they wrote something you didn't like. It's out of your control. You don't work for Rooster Teeth. You don't work for them at all. You're not even their social marketing manager. So, why would you go after them? Getting back on track. You are allowed to feel upset. You are allowed to feel betrayed. You are allowed to feel whatever you want because you love and or hate this show. Or like or dislike or whatever. That is valid. You are valid in your own emotions, no matter how many people want to say otherwise. Only you know how to feel, right? No one else. Just you. You can think the finale was good or bad. You can think it was deserved or rushed. Those are your own emotions. That is your own opinion. You're free to express that. But do not go after anyone on the show due to your emotions or your opinion. I'm going to be honest. I was terrified after it ended. Not of the show, not because of the show, not what's going on in the show, but of what I could do because of it. It was depressing. I have never been this depressed watching a show I love until now. And that makes me terrified of what I could do to myself. I've been sad watching shows before, and, I felt emotional. I felt joy, I felt fear and anger at lots of different shows. But off the top of my head, the past couple of episodes, in particular of Volume 8, have made me feel depressed. And I've never, to my knowledge, felt that way about a show before. I've never felt so completely just down. And part of me wants to blame RWBY for that and pin whatever happens on them. But I'm not going to do that. I hate that that part of me exists, but it's there whether I want it or not. It's an issue I'm working on sorting out, and I don't know how long that'll take me. But the finale kind of broke me. And whether or not that was the intended reaction is up for debate. And no, Penny's death wasn't queerbaiting. I pray to every deity believed in, or deity, I don't know how you pronounce it, holy being, God, whatever. I pray to all of them that I do not have to explain that. I do not want to explain that Penny's death wasn't queerbaiting. It should be obvious why it isn't. As much as I ship nuts and bolts, as much as I wanted RWBY to have a proper farewell with Penny, at the end of the day, they were just very close friends. Penny was a shoulder for RWBY to lean on, and RWBY was a rock that held Penny to the ground when she started to drift away. I'm gonna miss their dynamic a lot. And please, don't turn this into a fair game situation. I had to witness some of that. And it wasn't pretty. I've been in the fandom for about 5 or so years now. I've witnessed some strange hiatuses, some short hiatuses, and some long ones. I've witnessed a lot of memes, I've witnessed a lot of art, I've witnessed a lot of angst. But I'm scared for this one. I'm scared that people use the finale as excuses to do things they shouldn't, or to threaten RWBY with certain things that they really shouldn't do. And I'm guilty of that thought. I don't want to be, but I am. I'm no exception, and I hate that. And I'm sorry that I've even had that thought. But I, like many others, am very close to the show. So when it personally hurts, it hurts hard. It hurts really hard. But I don't want people going after RWBY because they're mad. You can be mad at them all you want. You can be upset. But don't go after them. At the end of the day, this is just a show. It's a fun show, it's a good show, but it's a show. It's fictional, and I know there's so many people who get attached to these characters. I know there's so many people who are attached to Penny. They feel close with her, they feel comfort when she's there. I know there's so many people who are gonna feel really, really bad. And you're valid in feeling that way because you really loved her. You loved that character so much. And I have characters in this show that I really like. I have characters in this show that, I feel comfort with. And, I'll probably feel really upset if something happens. But, just writing this script and talking about the finale has made me feel a bit better. Bit by bit. I'm sure that, in the next few months I'll be able to appreciate this finale for emotionally destroying me. I'm sure that I'll be able to accept Penny's death, and as upset as I am, as rambly as I've been, as negative as I've felt, I am still so excited for Volume 9. I am still so excited to see what Rooster Teeth has in store for us with this show. I'm still so excited to see how this story, this hauntingly, beautifully crafted story by this guy who was regarded as a legend with online animation and was taken from this planet really, really quickly. Like, he was taken from us far too early than he needed to. And the people behind the show, Lindsay Jones, they're fantastic as RWBY. I love watching her develop. I love watching her develop alongside her team. I love to see it. Kara Ebro as Weiss. I'm pretty sure I pronounced your last name wrong. I'm really sorry about that. It's been fun to watch her develop over the course of the show from Volume 1 to Volume 8, where she is now. It's been fun to go from this, rich stereotype, kind of a snotty, princessy kind of stereotype in a way, to someone who genuinely cares about the people she has around her, to someone who feels lost without them. And Erin as Blake, of course, it's been fun to watch her develop from this antisocial, remorseful, desperate to atone for what she's done in the past, former terrorist, basically, to this confident and happy young woman who is just free of her demons and working on restoring everything she had, everything she lost. And of course, gotta give props to, of course, Barbara Dunkelman as Yang Xiaolong. Of course, we cannot go the three without Yang. We have to include all four of our leading ladies, because they are all fantastic. No matter the ups and downs of this show, they are all amazing at their voices. I'm so excited to see where they're going to take us next. Miles and Carrie, Kiersey and Eddie, they've proven their worth with this. This volume 8, has been consistently hit after hit after hit, knocking it out of the park every single episode. There is not a once where I felt like something like opposite of what they wanted me to feel. There are moments where, I was excited. There were moments where I felt emotional and genuine, and there are moments I really, really, really liked. And I'm so glad to talk about the show again, genuinely loving it, because this show has had so many ups and downs over time, and to see it slowly come back to, I wasn't here for Volume 1 to 3, and many people consider that the quote-unquote golden age. Seeing the show go up to a standard quality, a consistent standard quality, similar to that of what people consider the quote-unquote golden age, I am so proud of them. I am happy for them. And I love this show. I'm so excited to see what they have in store for us. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen next. Because as devastating as a cliffhanger Volume 8 is, as emotionally wrecking as it is still impactful. And it still leaves you wanting more. And I think that's what the intended reaction was. Whether or not if it made you happy or sad or angry, it made you want more. And at the end of the day, I think they definitely achieved that. So, I'll be here for Volume 9, and 10, and 11 and 12. I'll be here as long as they go, because I love this show. I want to see where it goes. I want to see how it all ends. And I'm glad that there's people that also want to see how it ends with me. I'm really happy about that. But yeah, aside from it emotionally devastating me, I enjoyed it. I can say that. I don't know whether or not I, explicitly liked it, but I can say I enjoyed it. I can definitely say that, it has the intended reaction, presumably, that it wants to give me. And as I said, it definitely leaves me wanting more. It wants me wanting, it makes me want Volume 9 next week, even though that's impossible. Unless they've had it, tucked up their sleeve this whole time. That's impossible. We're not getting Volume 9 next week. They would have told us about that. So, it leaves you wanting that. It leaves you wanting Volume 9 next week. That is so rare for a show to do, to want, the next season right away, not after, a little bit of a break. You want it right then. I don't know when it's coming out. I think it's coming out in October. It might be November. So that's give or take 8 or so months. It's gonna be a long hiatus. It's probably going to be a very painful one. And it's probably going to be a little more sad and depressing than usual. Especially since, next week the finale opens up to the public. So, I leave you with this. Take care of the people you surround yourself with, and make sure they're doing okay. Make sure the people that you really like following in the fandom are doing okay. Make sure you are doing okay. And it's okay if you aren't. It is. It is okay if you're not okay. I'm kind of paraphrasing Wes there a bit. But it's fine if you're not okay. But you are not alone in feeling not okay. Because if you go and you look, well, if you can strike up a conversation with someone who's also not okay, maybe it'll be futile. Maybe the both of you won't turn out okay as you want. But you don't really know if it's going to happen unless you try. So, maybe if you just talk with someone, whether or not if it's, someone who's also not doing okay, or if it's just someone you really like to talk to, whether if it be in the fandom or, in Discord or Twitter or, social media, talk to them. Because talking very much helps. As much as people complain about this show for talking and not doing a whole lot of action, talking gets out emotions. Talking gets out feelings and hurt and love and horror and despair and so many conflicting and confusing emotions. Because speaking from personal experience, it's not good if you bottle that up. And I'm working on not bottling it up, but I can't help it. I want to bottle it up because I want to make sure that I'm happy. So I bottle it up. And I know that's not healthy. But it's just what I end up doing. Which is why I'm so glad that I have this show to enjoy. Something to genuinely enjoy and I can feel happy about. Okay, well, I've definitely rambled off script a bit. But I've said, I think, all I pretty much need to say. I'm gonna reiterate one last time. Please do not attack any of RWBY because of the writing. You do not write this show. They do. And if you keep doing that, please get the following statement into your head. If you think you do a better job at writing the show, please write a fanfiction. For the love of God. For the love of any holy whatever. Please, write a fanfiction. I don't care if you think it's cringy or whatever. Write a fanfiction. Maybe then people can talk with you about your ideas, and you can go from there. Maybe you'll end up on the show. I don't know, something positive to think. But I doubt that, considering, you've been a major jerk. But, who am I to tell people what to do? I can only tell myself what to do. And for myself, I am going to be cautious during these next 8 months for the hiatus. I'm going to be cautious, but I'm also going to try and take care of myself. And, even though I've got other stuff going on, I'm going to try and look out for myself, because, I can't watch the show if I'm not here. So, and I really do want to watch it. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. And I've said that a lot. I'm repeating myself. But, I don't know. Maybe repeating stuff just helps. Helps me kind of lay down my points. But yeah. Yeah. I think that's all I had to say. Take care of yourselves, everyone. And I'll see you around.